This is way better than we could have even imagined, as new data has come out highlighting Lane Hutson on the defensive side of the puck, and us, including a lot of other Habs fans, are absolutely shocked at what we've seen in this first 2-game sample size. We had to dive into that. Plus, Jesse, not only Hutson on the defensive end, but Hutson and Guhle versus the other Habs defensemen. Some more data paints a very clear picture of what Marty will likely do in the coming games. Plus, finally, we have to talk about a loophole in a certain rulebook that indicates that Oliver Kapanen could be sent down to the AHL, even though we've heard that that's never going to happen. There's a lot of stuff we got to get into coming up on this episode of Habs Digest, and we're just going to jump straight into Oliver Kapanen. Now, I call this a loophole with quotation marks. This article comes from Marco D'Amico from RG.org. It will be linked down below. Go have a read through it. It's very, very informative. But this is a very interesting thing, Jesse. Now, we all know Oliver Kapanen. If he goes back to the SHL, he'll be playing first line, playing 20, 25 minutes a night for Olli Jokinen. But in this article, an interesting loophole gets highlighted that could allow Montreal to send Kapanen to Laval if they want to, basically saying that in the IIHF, if you stay on your NHL team's roster, if you make the team for opening night and you stay on the roster while healthy for 60 days without being offered back to your old European team, you can be sent down to Laval. Now, this is an interesting loophole. I'm just going to call it a rule that could allow Montreal some more flexibility. Now, the question really is, Jesse, why would Montreal even do this? When the choice is stay with Montreal, learn the Montreal Canadiens system, play with the Montreal Canadiens players, train with the coaches, or send him back over to Europe where he's going to be on the first line in the SHL, playing power play, playing penalty kill. Why would there even be a need to send him down to the AHL? But at the same time, I guess more flexibility is never that big a problem.
It's so true. But in Kent Hughes and Martin St. Louis, not only we have a players coach, but we got a players GM in Kent Hughes, right? He's going to do what he feels is best for this player. And I think that there's kind of an understood agreement for him that if it wasn't with the Montreal Canadiens, that it would be with Timra. So I feel like those are really the only two options on the table. For sure, it's always nice having that flexibility. Yes, for sure. The 60 game mark, though, you're so close to the end of that regular season. But Josh, as I said before, sorry, Timra, but we need Oliver Kapanen right now. Like, for sure, he's a little bit small. He needs a little bit more of that weight, Josh. But that is literally the only thing holding him back in the NHL. And even then, he's still effective. He got a point last night. He's diving on the ice to help make a pass, to set up that Anderson goal, right? Being effective in his very first game, getting a point is absolutely huge for this team, right? So I feel like they're really going to do well by Oliver Kapanen. But I think even more importantly than that, by his play, he's really going to show that he deserves to be with the big club.
Yeah, 100%. Now, he looked like he fit in very, very well. And I'm actually going to bring up this game scorecard from last night. And we'll be talking about this in the next section too. So try not to look too much at this. Well, maybe do if you want. Feel free to pause and have a look. But he was right in the middle. According to the game impact thing, he had a more impactful game than Kirby, Dach, and Alex Newhook and Nick Suzuki. I mean, all three of them struggled at times in the game versus Boston, but Oliver Kapanen's right there among some other solid Habs forwards, so his impact was definitely felt. And yeah, the Kent Hughes, Jeff Gordon, they're going to do what's best for him, whether that's the AHL, which I really don't think is likely, or in the NHL, or in Sweden. We'll have to see what they end up doing, but let us know your thoughts down below. Would you even want him to be in the AHL? Because I got a funny feeling a lot of you probably wouldn't, but we're going to move on quickly to the fact that graphic I just showed you, plus one more, paints a very clear picture. Now, Jesse, we are going to talk more specifically about Lane Hutson in a bit, but right now, I really want to dive into what we just saw on the screen in this game score chart that very much highlights the Montreal defensive pairings. Now, we know at the end of this game, Mike Matheson ended up getting paired with Justin Barron, and we saw Cayden, Guhle, and Lane Hutson. And if you look at the two most impactful players for the Montreal Canadiens on offense and especially defensively, Lane Hutson had the highest team defense above average. I guess I said I'm already getting into his defense, but there's more stuff later, I promise. These two were the most impactful players for Montreal, passed the eye test for sure. And the four least impactful players were our other four defensemen: David Savard, Justin Barron, Arber, Xhekaj, Mike Matheson. Jesse, I know it's just a tiny sample, and I know there's just a few little things here, but the fact that Lane Hutson and Cayden Guhle showed so much chemistry with each other so early, and Lane Hutson was doing so many amazing things on the ice. Not only that, Guhle and Hutson were among the top 5 skaters in terms of offense and defense above average of all games yesterday. Hutson was 5th, Guhle was 1st, while Matheson and Barron and Xhekaj were all in the bottom 5. To me, Jesse, I don't know. I'm not Coach Marty. I know it's just a one-game sample size, but I feel like I've seen enough to say, let's run this pairing back for at least the Saturday game versus Ottawa.
And you'd have to feel like the eye tests and the analytics kind of help confirm and inform Martin St. Louis' decision there. But Josh, this is absolutely unreal what we're seeing from Lane Hutson right now. Like, I believe that he wasn't just a power play specialist and that he could play in all three zones, but to be this good, and yes, again, consistent at 162 pounds, breaking up plays like that in his defensive zone, being so effective like that is just absolutely unreal.
Yeah, it's insane to see from Lane Hutson what he's been able to do. But, specifically with Cayden, Guhle, Jesse, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Like, that to me is something we said before the season was going to be a really nice dynamic combo because they really suit each other's play styles very well. And when you have a fast, quick guy like Lane Hutson and a still fast but very solid defensively Cayden Guhle, like, Guhle didn't even jump out the screen at me a lot in that game, Jesse, but when he was on the ice with Hutson, I almost noticed him more. He was just so solid the whole time, and I don't know, when you have impact like that, even offensively, Jesse, those two had a lot of chemistry in the offensive zone. To me, that is going to generate even a lot more chances for Montreal moving forward.
And the fact that he has an 80%, goals for expected with Lane Hutson out on the ice, like, this is a clear sign. Like, if that's what he's doing 5v5, imagine what he could do on the power play. It's just showing how effective this player is, which is absolutely unreal to see, like, in all three zones, playing more than Cayden Guhle last night, right? Like, doing a little bit of everything. Like, Josh, I think we need to get into those graphics. It's not only helping, like, offensively, but, like, my goodness, like, not only is he being good defensively, but like in helping the defensive game, but he's also stopping those high quality danger chances from really happening, which is absolutely unreal for this very young player.
Yeah, as we can see here from Data Puck, through the first two games, the Habs have allowed only 2.31 expected goals against per 60 with Hutson on the ice in 5v5. 5.1 expected goals against per 60 with him off the ice. And let's just get into the data there. Like you said, Jesse, this is without Hutson on the ice. 45 minutes so far this season, an expected goals against per 60 of 5.1, which is 100% above league average, or above the team, sorry. And with Lane Hutson on the ice, the team is way better defensively. Like, look at these cold zones with Lane Hutson on the ice versus off. And when you see Mike Matheson's chart, as they replied to in this tweet, which I will link down below, Matheson is closer to this. Closer to the 5. I think he's at like 4.7. So at the same, like, Lane Hutson straight up, and it's not just here. I mean, I'm going to go back and forth through all these charts, trying to absorb all the data you can. But even in this one too, if you look at the defense above average in this Thursday recap from the top 5 skaters, Lane Hutson is tops in all of defensive above average with 1.99. And again, Jesse, I don't want to fall victim to, a small sample size, because, like, at the end of the day, we're going to have another 10, 15 games before this actually means anything. But what I will say is he's passing the eye test defensively. And I think it's not only with his active stick, not only his solid positioning, but his zone exits are so good. When he gets the puck on his stick, you're getting out of the zone. And a lot of the time, you're also creating offense the other way. I think that is something that people don't necessarily think of as a big, defensive thing, But as soon as he gets a chance to get the puck in his defensive zone, he's usually making something happen going the other way. And to me, that almost gets slept on more than I think people realize.
Yeah, and there's implications for this for 5v5, but also on the power play too, of where Hutson will kind of end up, because for sure there's a long runway here still, but absolutely he's just showing, if we're looking at this graph, like, a lot of those chances around the net are really getting mitigated with Hutson out on the ice, which is absolutely unreal. Like, analysts already, they're clamoring. Some of them are saying, like, Lane Hutson is better than Shane Wright. Others are saying better than Adam Fantilli. We'll see. Like, people that have seen Adam Fantilli play a lot of hockey, like, they are so big on this guy. The fact that we got this guy in the second round and he's playing this well, like, Josh, I feel like Lane Hutson, like, will be more dynamic than many stars already in the NHL. Like, not only will be a star, but he'll be a little bit more exciting and bring a lot more to the table than many in the game already. And just his ability to be able to do it at, like, this consistent level of jumping into the NHL, this certainly isn't something that we see all the time.
There's not many Habs prospects I can remember that jump immediately into the NHL and look this comfortable and immediately have that aura around them. There's something about Lane Hutson that just draws your eyes to them. Goodness, dries your eyes. Don't do that, whatever that is. But here's the thing, like, I saw people saying, Jesse, the last guy they can remember doing something like this as soon as they stepped on the ice for the Habs is someone like a PK Subban, especially on the defensive end, someone who was just electric from the first moment you saw them. And that's kind of what we're seeing from Lane Hutson. Again, fairly different play styles, but again, the way he can create chances on his own just by moving his feet, making passes without really looking, creating those opportunities, it's absolutely unbelievable. Let us know your thoughts on all the Lane Hutson stuff down below, especially his defense, which is somehow even better than we could have possibly anticipated. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You guys have been supporting like crazy, and we're going to have videos coming all season long. I'm Josh Goss, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.